Hello friends, welcome to this video lecture series of E square. So today we will be taking on one of the important questions that may be asked this year, and this question was also asked previous years in the PSC examination. So there is a high probability that this question may appear this year also. The question is, justify with examples and illustrations Wordsworth as a poet of nature. This question will be asked for about 20 marks. So let us discuss how to write the answer of this question. Okay. So friends, before starting the discussion, I would like to tell you that this video will cover the major points related to this question. Detailed answer can be viewed in our website. Please visit our website www.escores.co. In our course section also you can enroll yourself for part 1 complete and part 2 complete notes along with 5 full length mock tests. Apart from this, also you will be getting topic wise test in under our E&A series. So friend, let's start our discussion with the question how Wordsworth was a poet of nature. You can start your answer with an introduction, and introduction may start with a quote. Nature is a teacher whose wisdom we can learn and without which any human life is vain and incomplete. So this quote perfectly defines the poetry of Wordsworth. Okay, you can write this quote. The above lines perfectly portrays the poetry of William Wordsworth and his love for nature. After writing this, you can briefly describe the pattern of the poems of the Wordsworth, means how his poetry was different from the others. You can write, Wordsworth being a bright star of romantic poetry in which tune, rhythm and soul is towards nature and the interior world of feeling. This is a very important line because his poems were not only related to nature but also to the interior world of feeling of humans. He tried to connect the interior thought, internal thoughts of human and the nature, which is just opposite to what? It was opposite to poems of the Enlightenment era, in which the poems were just based upon the scientific thoughts and beliefs. So you can give just a brief introduction about your answer relating to the question. So friends, after a brief introduction of our question, let us move to background of this question, means what led to the development of Wordsworth as a poet of nature. So friends, कुछ भी घटनाएं घटती है उसके पीछे एक ना एक रीजन होता है. For every action there is a cause. So we will see what led to the development of Wordsworth as a poet of nature. First being the birthplace. Wordsworth's birthplace is Cockermouth in the northern part of English Lake District, which is a place very connected to nature. So this also led to the development of natural views in his thoughts from early childhood. Next being the Industrial Revolution. In the 18th century, Britain was undergoing a process called Industrial Revolution, and this led to the disturbance of nature. So Wordsworth tried to highlight his thoughts towards the nature that industrialization is also important, but apart from this, our connection with the nature is also important. Last but not least, he was a part of Romantic era. That means, along with other poets like Coleridge, Keats and Blake, he tried to highlight the internal views of human. He tried to highlight the importance of nature in his writings. So he tried to pull out the thoughts which developed in the Enlightenment era to a new thought of nature that was in the Romantic era. So friends, moving forward from introduction then to background, now coming on to features of Wordsworth poetry. We will try to learn some of the important characters of its poems, because of which he is called nature's poet. The first being he treats nature as a teacher. The best example for this can be taken from his poem Tintern Abbey, in which Wordsworth explains the development of his love for nature. In this, he explains his views, the transformation in his views, how from boyhood to adulthood his views towards nature changes. When he is small, he sees nature as an object being the playground. He enjoys to play in the playground. This was his views when he was small. Further, when he reaches his teenage, his views towards the nature changes. Now from object, he sees nature as a source of aesthetic appeal, a source of beauty. Now when he reaches his adulthood, his views totally changes. Now he sees nature's role as a teacher, as an educator. He tries to learn something from the nature. So this is a very important view, and these views are reflected in the poems of Wordsworth, right? So coming down to next important features in his poetry, that is Pantheism. Can you explain, my dear friends, what Pantheism means? Pantheism is a belief that reflects the awareness of life force in all the objects in nature, being it a tree, rock or water. Pantheism is sometimes compared to animism, which suggests that there is a consciousness in nature and natural objects. The best example for pantheism can be taken from Prelude, in which Wordsworth says, "To every natural form I gave a moral life." What an important line. This line itself explains the meaning of pantheism. So, this is also an important part in the poems of Wordsworth, which reflects his views towards the nature, and is called a nature's poet. So friends, coming down to third important feature in his poetry, that is creator of nature's imagery. He uses words so perfectly that it is able to create a successful image of nature in our mind. He uses words such as quiet, beautiful, sweet, and pleasure, and so on, which is most commonly seen in his poems. The words stand out to reveal the poet's deep love and respect for nature. The example can be taken from his poem, "I Wandered Lonely as a Cloud." Lines being a host of golden daffodils beside the lake, beneath the tree, fluttering and dancing in the breeze. See how cleverly he uses the words. A golden daffodils. Daffodils means flower. Flowers are what? Fluttering and dancing. So he is able to create the imagery of nature. Nature being here the daffodils who are fluttering and dancing. So this is also one of the most important characters in his poems. Why he is called a nature's poet? Because he is able to create a nature's imagery in our mind. So friends, coming down to fourth important feature in his poetry, that is communication with the nature. He tries to connect with the nature. He tries to talk with the nature. And this has a powerful effect upon his thoughts and emotions. The best example for this can be taken from his poems like "My Heart Lifts Up," in which the sight of the rainbow makes him moved in. The next example can be from the poem "The Echo," in which the hearing of the mountain echo provokes his philosophical contemplations. The next example can be from "Simplon Pass," in which the visit to the mountain inspires him to meditations of eternity. So these are all the examples which shows how Wordsworth tries to have a communication with the nature. Since communication is a two-way process, Wordsworth tried to talk with the nature and learn more and more from the nature. So friends, coming down to fifth important feature in his poetry, that is balanced combination between his love for man and nature. Since Wordsworth is a poet of romantic era, he tries to have balance between men and nature. He entrusted his love of men on the love of nature, and in return his love of natural scenery and the life of people living in nature. So he sees it as a vice versa process. This can be seen in his poem "The Solitary Reaper." He tries to connect nature and melancholy strain of the solitary reaper. These views can also be seen in his preface to Lyrical Ballads, where Wordsworth has tried to portray this balanced communication between man and nature. The next important feature in his poetry being the combining spiritual ecstasy with a poetic presentment of nature. Religious ecstasy or spiritual ecstasy means a frame of our mind in which we try to expand, in which we try to enhance interior, mental, spiritual awareness of our mind. We try to reduce the external awareness. So it is a feature in which we try to more and more analyze within ourselves. This can be seen in the poetry of Wordsworth. To him, the primrose and the daffodil are symbol to him of nature's message to man. They are not object, but they are nature's message to man. A sunrise from him is not a beauty of color. It is a moment of spiritual consecration. These are displayed in his extract from the Prelude, "Morning After the Ball." So, this feature is also very important to show how Wordsworth connects himself with the nature. Why he is called a nature's poet. So friends, with all these features, what we have discussed above, we can draw a conclusion. We can say that yes, Wordsworth is a poet of nature. All the above point reflects his love and connect for the nature. He is a true lover and worshipper of nature. He tries to represent nature in an ordinary form. He tries to represent nature in a familiar form. Okay, and not in extremes. So with all these features we can say that yes, Wordsworth is a poet of nature, right? So दोस्तों इस तरह के क्वेश्चंस एंड आंसर्स के लिए प्लीज़ विजिट करें हमारे वेबसाइट www.esquare.co और आप हमें मेल भी कर सकते हैं esquare1111@gmail.com. We are covering the whole syllabus in a holistic manner, covering part 1, part 2 of the syllabus. Apart from this, we are also conducting 5 full-length mocks of 150 marks. इसके साथ ही हम अपना E and A सीरीज़ भी चला रहे हैं दोस्तों, जो कि अभी जारी है, जिसमें कि हमने पूरे सिलेबस को डिफरेंट पार्ट्स में बांट रखा है और हम वीकली टेस्ट करा रहे हैं ताकि स्टूडेंट्स क्वेश्चंस के ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा आंसर लिख सके, ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा प्रैक्टिस कर सके और ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा स्कोर कर सके. तो आज के लिए इतना ही दोस्तों, थैंक यू.